22 years. Today, I want to share with you a project that I think has the most potential for commercial success, and that is a book that I'm working on that I finished actually, called The Blotter That Stole 22 Years. It's basically a story of my romantic pursuits throughout my life, and the one thing I like to say about it is that if you thought you had a record of how stupid a gentleman could be about women, let me blow that record away 7 times over because um, the stupidity I exhibited was so profound that it makes it very difficult to believe. But it's all true. Let me read for you a excerpt from the book. Around this time, the woman I was first in love with, we'll call her Ursefi, was in a lesbian relationship. We'll call the woman Araya. Araya was nearly as beautiful as Ursefi, a Latina from Colombia with voluptuous lips. One day Ursefi said to me, "I'm going to pay you back for wrecking your car." I thought she meant money, so every few weeks I'd ask, "Do you have any money for the car yet?" She'd always say no. It wasn't until years later, decades later actually, that I realized what she meant. She wasn't offering money, she was offering herself and her girlfriend. Did she actualize her homosexual tendencies to fulfill my fantasy of a woman rejecting it to be with me? Am I being preposterously arrogant to consider the possibility? How much love for me on her part did I inadvertently obliterate on account of my stupidity? She was offering to take my virginity, which was only as likely as she was to marry me and wouldn't involve anyone else. And I was too dumb, too prudish, too wrapped up in my Christian purity rules to even see it. I thought we were just friends. I thought she was out of my league. I thought a girl like her who dumped my dirt bike over on the pavement and rode through the rain with her arms around me and wrecked my car and was in a relationship with another woman would never want a guy like me. I didn't know she was already in love with me. September 1996. She was still with her girlfriend. I didn't care, I was just glad to see her. We decided to trip acid. I'd done it before, that night with Shannon from my brother's club. It had been fine. Nothing scary, just colors and breathing walls and feeling weird for a few hours. I kept my eyes averted from everything I shouldn't see, maintained my purity, and walked away unscathed. I thought I knew what I was getting into. I had no idea. We dropped the blotters at her place, 1 blotter each. Araya was not there. For the first hour, nothing happened except she offered me Tavarsky orange-flavored vodka. I declined. We sat on her couch, waiting. She was relaxed. I was patient. I'd done this before. Then it hit. There was a problem. I had this prudish conscience, the same one that kept me from watching the dancers at Club Vogue, the same one that made me miss the offer she'd made to pay me back. I believed that if I looked at her without something to say, it would be disrespectful. It was some twisted Christian purity thing. Like if I looked at her without a reason, I'd be lusting, and lusting was a sin. So I kept looking away, and I kept running out of things to say. I was staring at the wall, racking my brains for something, anything to talk about, when she stuck her foot out and pointed her toe. I thought her foot is harmless. I can look at that. So I looked. And the moment I looked at her foot, something in my brain shifted. It was like a door opening. I don't know, but something changed. Something, suddenly it felt like I could hear her thoughts. Like we were connected. Like I could see inside her mind. And she could see inside mine. She started talking. And every time she said something, it felt like she was responding to what I was thinking. She kept saying, "You have a point." And then she'd put down a pointed object. A cheap paring knife that looked like it had been ground to a point. And it felt like she was indicating, well, my member. Cognitively, like she was trying to get me to think sexually. Was in such a platonic mode that sex was the farthest thing from my mind. I didn't know it was the beginning of schizophrenia. This wasn't like the trip with Shannon. This was something else entirely. At some point, I don't remember when, she looked at me and said, "I cast a spell on you to make you fall in love with me." Did it work? I froze. This is the most important question anyone had ever asked me. This is the moment that would define the rest of my life. I had to get the answer exactly right. So I said, "I think so. I think I love you, but let me think about it for a while and get back to you." I don't know if she thought I was joking or if she thought I was serious. I was dead serious. Later, I contemplated 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. I decided that yes, I loved her. I wanted to exhibit all the traits of agape love toward her. I wanted to bring her to know Jesus. I wanted to marry her. I was not concerned with any witchcraft or spells. I thought I was immune to the blood of the Lamb. I didn't know the spell was, as later psychotically deduced, the connection she initiated. Oddly, upon contemplating these things, it occurred to me that the likelihood that loving her would cost me dearly. In response to this, I thought that the cost was not relevant. I thought of her lacking someone to help her understand the gospel and come to a saving faith in Christ. Had I known that all I needed to do was pray for her daily for the rest of my life, perhaps I would not have endeavored to make such a sacrifice for her sake. To my knowledge, this possibility did not occur to me. Looking back, 30 years later, I can pinpoint exactly the moment my life ended. It wasn't the first time I tripped acid with Shannon from Club Vogue, keeping my eyes on the floor. It was when I looked at her foot. That was the moment the door opened. That was the moment the telepathic connection started. That was the moment I stopped being Derek Yeager, 20-year-old college dropout with ironclad purity rules and a wrecked Corolla with a flapping trunk, and became Derek Yeager, paranoid schizophrenic. The first trip with Shannon had been fine. I kept my eyes averted, maintained my conscience, and nothing happened. Just a weird night that ended and went away. But this second trip with Ersefi, was different. This one never ended. I didn't know it yet. I wouldn't know it for years. But that moment, that single stupid moment when I thought, her foot is harmless, I can look at that, cost me the next 22 years of my life. One blotter of acid. One girl named Ersefi who dumped my dirt bike over and rode through the rain with me and wrecked my car and offered me something I was too blind to see. One foot. One look. 22 years. I didn't know that Ersefi would disappear from my life and that knowing her would devastate both of us. I didn't know that the girl who dumped my dirt bike over in the pavement and rode through the rain with her arms around me and wrecked my car and tried to let me squander my virginity on a menage a trois would be gone. I didn't know that one night in September '96 would cost me everything. But I know now.